Your organisation runs training courses for your staff and customers. Only problem is it's time-consuming, inconvenient and costly. Take a leaf out of our book. The School of Hard Knock Knocks uses the online training platform by YZ, and our team and customers love it. It's simple to use, supports every media format, audio, video, text, and looks great on desktops, tablets and mobiles. And for a limited time, quote SHKK when you arrange a demo and get 10% off your first year's plan. YZ helps us deliver comedy courses around the world. Imagine what it could do for your organisation. YZ, that's WYZED.com. YZ, online learning made simple. You're listening to the School of Hard Knock Knocks podcast with me, Maury Morgan.
Ladies and gentlemen, your next comedian.
Shouldn't drink on an empty head, you know that, don't you?
That is the shittiest heckle I have ever heard in my life.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
That's a bucket list.
You have dangerously underprepared yourself for the shit that is about to get real.
You can't say a bad thing about comedian Michael Connell. He's quite possibly the nicest guy in stand-up comedy, if not the world. He's also got an incredible intellect, which makes him a formidable comedian. In this School of Hard Knock Knocks podcast, Michael talks about his achievements in Class Clowns, Australia's Got Talent and Green Faces. We also talk about his passion for philosophy, remembering sets, moving to Brisbane and entertaining sick kids. And while I have your attention, if you'd like to try stand-up comedy and live in Melbourne, then this is the month to pull your finger out. Our guest comedian in October is the legendary George Kapanaris. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so visit www.schoolofhardknockknocks.com to sign up. You also get a huge discount if you bring a friend. And now, here's the very funny and smart Michael Connell.
I am very happy. I have to point out, this is where I'm at, right? I have to point out that I'm happy because I'm at this weird point in life where I tell people I'm happy and people don't believe me. Right? Like, I am very poor, I am very single, I am not very famous. People think I'm too happy for where I'm at in life. Do you know what I mean? Like you probably have conversations with people and they're like, oh, how you going? And you're like, yeah, I'm good. And they're like, oh, good for you. What I get is a lot of this. Hey, Michael, how you going? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And they're like, wow, despite everything. That's the spirit. What? It happens all the time. Like, I'm very poor, right? I went into the bank the other day that, the teller asked me how I was going. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing good. She's like, I've seen your accounts. Guess again. Right? I'm very single. When I first joined Facebook, I put my relationship status as single, right? And, I was getting all those targeted ads. Hey, are you a single guy? Are you looking for single local ladies? All that stuff, right? But I've been single a long time. I have never changed that status on Facebook. So now I'm getting target ads like, hey, are you a monk? Are you looking for 10% off ecclesiastical robes?
Good afternoon, Michael.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thank you for your time. You are a very busy man. I believe you're in a car at the moment. You're off to a gig.
Yes, I am in a car right at this moment, zipping across town from one side of Brisbane to another to perform at a university gig.
Yep.
Should be good fun. Partly because I'm very busy and I do a lot of gigs. Partly because I'm a bit of an idiot and I haven't planned things as well as I should have.
Oh, very good. Well, are you fitting into the are you fitting into the slot of Seinfeld and John Cleese? Because they said they don't do universities anymore because of political correctness gone crazy. But there you are, heading off to a university. You're filling that void.
Well, I would like to. I would like to think I'm taking a gig that Seinfeld has passed up, but I'm pretty sure it's just a new open mic.
Oh, is it? Oh, well.
I'm going in to just try out a bit of new material, test some new jokes. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. All right, but you are on university campus, so just be careful. None of that risque stuff.
That's
Mind
true.
you, the words.
That's true. All the stuff I'm known for, definitely.
That's it. That was sarcasm, obviously, because those people that do know you as one of the safest comedians out there in terms of language content. No warnings necessary on your DVD, CD, LP, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I hope not. I do get compared to Seinfeld a fair bit because of that.
All right.
So,
Oh.
yeah, maybe it will be like a Seinfeld doing university sort of gig tonight. I don't know.
Oh, there you go. You never know. You never know. Now, Michael, thanks for your time. We're going to go into a little bit of your comedy history. I guess you're one of those comedians that started very, very young. My understanding is that you actually... Now, did you win... Or was it just or equally as impressive, get to the final for Class Clowns back in 2001?
Class Clowns, I came runner-up in.
Oh,
so
very good.
I'm the Shannon Knoll of Australian comedy. If you like
But
to
we
think
know
of it like
who
that.
he is, right? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I did quite well. I got second place, runner-up. But the guy who won, he didn't doing it. So now I think retroactively they've gone, oh yeah, he was one of the winners. I think Danny McGinley and a couple of other performers who are in the same boat. They're like, oh yeah, you didn't win, but you can judge. So we'll say you won in that year. Yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I'm going to call you the Buzz Aldrin of comedy then.
Oh, awesome. That's what
And you've gone on, so because you've got a pretty impressive, and I will get into sort of your intellectual side, because you've got a pretty impressive lineup on your resume. Australia's Got Talent, 2011. Yeah. How far did you get along in that little caper?
All right. I got to the finals. It was quite an experience, Australia's Got Talent. So my agent put me forward and they said, come and perform on this. And I went in and it was a whole big... I was very naive about what was going to happen on that show. And they make you sit in the waiting room and they don't give you any food. And they say, come in at 9 o'clock. You'll probably be on at lunchtime. You're in at 9 o'clock. You're getting on at 8:15 at night. They're prodding you. They're wanting drama the whole time. They're like, hey, are you getting annoyed at these kids tuning their instruments? You'd like to go over and have a shout at them or something and we can film that. The entire time it was like they were setting you up to fail. And I remember I performed just after a string quartet. They were all these kids. They were about 12, and they were all in this string quartet. And they went on stage, and the judges tore them apart, and they walked off stage in tears. And I just thought to myself, oh my goodness, if they do that to a bunch of 12-year-old kids, I could be just about to make an absolute fool of myself. Luckily, it went all right, and I got featured on TV briefly, and, now it's a line on the resume. It worked out fantastic for me, but
nice one.
Could have gone very much the other way.
You did a line with a harmonica. It was the day after.
Yes.
And that was,
Day after the rock concert.
After the rock concert.
My classic joke.
Yeah, and you just played that high-pitched sound.
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, and I think very much playing an instrument helped, being sort of a novelty act, not straight-ahead stand-up. Because, they did not... There's a reason comedians don't do well on that show. Every year they're like, we want to change, we want to have comedians. Every year, now that I've been on, I get a phone call going, you want to come on again? Try again. You're like... No, because I know how badly you treated me the first time. But, I was like, look, I just want to go on. I want to walk on and perform, and then the judges can talk to me. And, I walked on straight up. They're all talking to me, and I'm like, oh, look, guys, this is not,
This is not how comedy works, right?
This is not
hit
how
that mic and
comedy
start.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to hit them with a strong punchline straight off the bat rather than, hey, let's have a chat, get to know you, and it'll be funny. No. But
now begin being funny. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Luckily, I had the harmonica. I brought that out. It went great. And you've seen the other comedians who've done well on that tend to be there's something else beyond just straight stand-up. They're either musical acts or they're impressionists or have the Nelson twins been on.
They did all right.
It's something. Yeah. They did great.
It's two of them.
Very funny. But I know a lot of other comedians who are absolutely hilarious, but they're just straight stand-up and just not an environment that is conducive to doing stand-up in. It was really hard,
But there you go. It's on the resume. Now, what else is on the resume is green faces. Now, I'm trying to figure out. I did do an interview with somebody and I'm just trying to remember who it was. You drove up from Melbourne to Canberra for Green Faces with a bunch of people, I believe. Is that my understanding? In a car?
Yes, that was the idea of Green Faces. I'm not sure if Green Faces even still happening.
I don't think so. What year were you in?
I was in, I believe it was 2009.
Okay.
I think. But I did it a couple of times. I placed in 2009. I got to the grand final in 2009, and then I think I did it once another year when I was
Yep.
starting out. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, it was always a great gig. They'd corral, 10 comedians into a Tarago. You'd drive up to Canberra. You'd perform, jump back in the Tarago, drive home. It was awesome. Yeah, I loved it.
That's right. And you were pretty young at that point.
Fairly young. The year I got to the grand final, how old was I?
2001, you were in Class Clowns. I assume you were there for between the age of 16 and 17. Is that right? 15 to 17, I think, is Class Clowns' age. So that's 2001.
Yes,
so jump ahead
right.
9 years. So you're looking at about 24, 25 or something.
Oh, yeah, that sounds about right.
Is that my research? Yeah. And you also committed a crime. No. So anyway, you were much younger than the people in the rest of the competition, which was impressive.
Yeah.
And you did very well. So anyway, I think what I was trying to get to was you've got a pretty impressive resume up front. So
thank you. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
did start very young. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Sometimes I see young comedians performing, and it's the classic thing, and I think I fell into this. You don't have much to talk about because you don't really have much life experience. But then on the other hand, you don't have, any sort of commitments. You got a lot of free time. You can run around and spend all night, running from comedy gig to comedy gig. So, there's advantages, disadvantages to it.
Yeah, fair enough. And now you're in Brizzy, and you're doing gigs there, and you've done some radio work more recently, is my understanding?
Yes. Did gigs up here all the time, worked on radio for a bit. Right now I'm living in Brisbane because I've met my partner and she's wonderful. I'm also got a daytime job. I work part-time entertaining sick kids in hospital as a bit of a kids entertainer.
Very good.
Just because, you know what comedy is like. You perform at night. You're not doing anything during the day. I'm sitting around twiddling my thumbs. So I thought, why not start doing something for kids?
Perfect.
Tap into a whole new market. Yeah, do something back.
Yeah,
good fun.
That's perfect. You wouldn't be the first comedian that's done. So was it comedy clown? Doctor Clown comedy? What's the What am I trying to say here?
Clown doctoring?
Doctor Clown doctoring. There we go.
Oh,
yes,
Patch Adams,
I think there's
that sort of stuff. Yeah,
that Patch Adams stuff. Yeah, it's all very credible stuff. Now, aside from comedy and helping sick kids, you are one of the most knowledgeable people I've ever heard talking about philosophy. Now, I just want to, off the bat, did you study philosophy or not? Or is it just a passion of yours?
Not really. It's an interest of mine. I've listened to a lot of podcasts. At uni, I did a couple of units of introduction to philosophy, that sort of stuff. But if you watch my stand-up special that's on YouTube, all about philosophy, I tell a big fib and say I did a philosophy degree when I haven't done a philosophy degree.
Right.
Yeah,
well, you're a comedian. We forgive you.
Just a very keen amateur, and it was easier to say in the jokes that I have done a degree than actually tell the truth.
That's fun. I make a joke where my sister's dead and I don't have a sister, so I think we're even. Very good. So, because regardless of we all know university degrees are useless. I'm a microbiologist, so what use has that been? In your stand-up, well, let's just go back. When you talk about philosophy, you have an incredible memory for detail. I imagine that helps you with your stand-up as well, because have you got a photographic memory or an amazing... Where does your ability come from to remember all these things?
Well, I'm not sure if I do have a good memory or not. My partner Phoebe will tell you that I have an amazing memory, but I think I just have an average memory, and I remember things that I'm very interested in. So some things I'm obsessive about, and that sticks in my brain. Things that I'm not so interested in just like disappear in one ear, out the other ear. It's terrible.
Ah, right. So Plato,
I think that
you remember that stuff, but buying milk on the way home, gone.
yes, totally the case. That's what's going on in my life. And I think for stand-up routines, I know there's some comedians who are great at remembering jokes. They're writing one-liners. I'm one of those guys who writes about stuff he's passionately interested in, and because I have the passion and the interest or some sort of emotion connected with the material, I just, it sticks in my brain.
There you
Otherwise, it just goes. I can never just remember just, random, unconnected gags.
Yep, fair enough. I mean, and philosophy is, it's confusing because it's, not in English typically. We're talking about people who have Greek names, a lot of them. Often 5 people have the same Greek name, which makes it confusing.
That's true.
Yeah.
Everyone in ancient Greece was called Diogenes.
Yeah, that's what
there
I'm thinking.
Diogenes of somewhere, Diogenes somewhere else.
Right.
A lot of Diogenes.
In the comic world, that'd be Hughes and Franklin, wouldn't it? It'd be just so many of those.
It was the Dave of ancient Greece.
The Daves, yeah. There you go. Fantastic. Now, and you do have a very positive, upbeat attitude. I'm just wondering now, what came first? That stoic background through your passion of philosophy. Did that generate the positivity, or did the positivity pull you towards or push you towards philosophy and that stoic attitude?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's more my nature. I'm just naturally a pretty easygoing guy. I started reading these books on philosophy, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's how I think.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I think like that. Oh, that's a good idea. I agree.
Yeah.
A lot of it is stuff I already sort of thought, but hadn't really put into any sort of formal practice or thought through logically myself. So I would like to say that, oh, yeah, I read all the books, and I learned so much, and, it changed my world. But, no, if I'm honest, I was like 8 cent there. I read the books and go, oh, yeah, that's pretty much... the school of philosophy describes the way I think. Yeah, tick, stoic, yeah.
Yeah, right. And for all the listeners who are curious as to what you're talking about, want to dig deeper, there is a very good podcast interview with you, and it is on Peacetime Podcast. It was last year in June, so just over a year ago.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I listened to that podcast, and it was very, very good. Yeah, Philosophy 101 is what they said, but Jesus, well above my head, so I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Oh yeah, I always like going on people's podcasts and talking about all different things. Sometimes I think, man, I should start a podcast of my own because it's a good way to get people to find out about you or promote yourself as a comedian and make connections. But then I'm like, no, I'll just take the easy option. I'll just do heaps of guest interviews on other people's podcasts. And, if people are really interested in me, they can type into, iTunes, Michael Connell, and just listen to a whole bunch of different podcasts that I've been on.
Yeah. Or go to your website, which is michaelconnellcomedian.com.
That's right. Brand new website. We're still setting it up, so bear with us. But michaelconnellcomedian.com.
Very good. Now, talking about comedy and talking about new comedians, not that you are, but you said your website was new. What advice would you give to up-and-coming comedians? So you're off to an open mic night tonight. You're going to see some people who may be just getting into the game. If they pulled you aside and bought you a whiskey, what kind of advice would they receive from you?
I say listen to the audience. It's all about the audience's response. Listen. Get a record everything you do. Get a recorder, get a app on your phone. listen back to every performance and go, oh, yes, that works. No, that doesn't. It's all in the editing, really. You know, all the comedians talk about, writing, and he's a good writer and he's a good performer. 90% of it is just performing it over and over and over in front of thousands of audiences, listening back and making changes as you need to.
Yep. And in terms of, you're talking about audio recording, what about in sort of things like body language, facial expressions?
Sometimes I tend not to be a big fan of video taping my performances because if I watch what I'm doing from the outside, I make changes. I copy what I'm already doing from the video. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it should be internally motivated, the performance, rather than externally, I'm putting on this affectation. That's what I think. I know other comedians' video works great for them. I always think audio's probably the better option for me, because otherwise I tend to watch it over and over and over, and I learn my own mannerisms from the videotape, and then I hide them and go over and over and over, and I become this weird, exaggerated version of myself.
Okay, so you don't watch. What was you were on Channel 31 for a while? You had a number of shows.
Yes.
What show was that?
Yeah, I was on a couple. I was a cast member of Live on Bowen.
That's right.
Which was a great Channel 31 late night variety show. It was a bit like Dave Letterman on a community TV budget. But I did a whole bunch of guest spots on other people's shows and worked on a whole bunch of Channel 31 programs.
Yeah. And my question now is, did you watch yourself after performing?
No, I never watched my TV performances back. People are like, was it good? I'm like, I know it was good. I was there. I did the performance.
Yep.
People laughed. I don't need to see myself. I don't enjoy listening back to my audio recordings of my performance, but I do it because it makes me better, and I force myself to. But yeah, once it's been filmed for TV, I'm like, there's no way to change it. There's no way to improve it. I just may as well not watch.
Right.
You know? So yeah, I try not to put myself through that.
There's a bit of philosophy in that, isn't there? There's sort of we're all moving forward. We can't control our own destiny, so screw it.
Yeah, exactly. Let the past be the past.
What's done is done.
Yeah, exactly. Like I filmed this stand-up special a little while ago, the philosophy one, and it was great. It was an amazing experience. But then I had to edit it, and I had to watch it over and over again to give, I had a friend to help me edit it, and I had to give him feedback about what to cut, keep this bit in, edit that bit out.
Yep.
And that was excruciating. Watching me perform over and over, I go, why do I do that with my face? Or what am I doing with my leg there? I know, real people watching it wouldn't be nearly as hypercritical as I am, but yeah, that was the experience for me.
That you wouldn't be the first actor, comedian who produces video content or TV and just never watches it and just assumes that it's good enough if someone's put it on air or the director's given it the thumbs up. So
yeah, that's it.
That's it. Now, Michael Connell, comedian. Where are you going? Where can we see you? Apart from tonight, which this podcast won't come out in time to inform anybody, but if someone wants to see you in the next, couple of weeks or couple of months, have you got something coming up? Have you planned for the Adelaide Fringe or Melbourne Comedy Festival, or where can we see you next?
I do have plans coming up. I'll be performing around Sydney. Yep. I'm doing a run of Sydney gigs in October, doing the Comedy Store, doing Comedy on the Edge, doing Happy Endings, a whole bunch of different gigs down there. That'll be really good fun. Coming to Melbourne in November, which will be great, doing the local, I can't even remember all the other gigs I'm doing down in Melbourne. Coming towards festivals, definitely doing Perth in January, doing Adelaide in February, March. I've applied for a few others. will possibly be getting around, but those details haven't been confirmed yet. And yeah, long term, I'm in the middle of writing a new show, putting that together. Hopefully more stuff will be coming out on my YouTube channel very soon.
Very good. And if someone wants to get in contact with you, what's the best way they can do that?
Check out my website, michaelconnellcomedian.com, or send me a message, michael@michaelconnellcomedian.com.
Excellent. All right, Michael. Well, thank you very much for your time. As you must, Brisbane's not that big. You must be at the other end by now.
We're almost at the gig, right?
Perfect timing. If this had been Adelaide, this interview would have been finished 10 minutes ago. But thankfully, you're in Brizzy. Well, thank you, Michael, for your time. Look, I do enjoy your comedy. You're the intellectual comedian that Australia needs.
Oh, thanks, man. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, I greatly appreciate your comedy, and I look forward to getting to some of your shows. I'll be in Adelaide for the School of Hard Knock Knocks. We have our own Best Of show in Adelaide Fringe, and we also have the Melbourne Comedy Festival Best Of show there as well. So no doubt I'll bump into you having one of the venues, sometime soon.
I'll try and come along and check it out.
Beautiful. And we might even, if the moons align, maybe even get you along as one of our guest comedians at one of our gigs in 2019.
Super. Yeah, I'd love to come along and perform.
No worries. Well, we're more than happy to have you along.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me on.
So, Michael, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.